The wedding had looked like a dream. Crystal chandeliers, white roses, and laughter echoing through the Grand Ridge Country Club. But for Emily Carter, that dream began to crack the moment she stepped into the Hayes family mansion as Ethan Hayes' new wife. From the first day, Ethan's mother, Patricia, made her feel unwelcome. "You can wear designer clothes, dear," Patricia said sweetly one morning, "but class can't be bought." Emily bit her tongue. She had hidden her last name, Carter, not out of shame but love. Her father, Henry Carter, was one of America's most mysterious billionaires, a man who built his empire from scratch and disappeared from public life after his wife died. Emily wanted to be loved for herself, not her father's money. But she quickly realized the Hayes family measured worth by pedigree, not heart. Ethan, once tender and charming, began to change. His warmth cooled, his mother's words became poison in his ear. Emily told herself love would win, but she was wrong. The family celebration was Patricia's idea, a lavish dinner, a supposed welcome for Emily into the Hayes circle. Emily spent hours choosing a simple white gown, hoping to impress. When she entered the grand hall, everyone turned to look. But instead of applause, she heard whispers, giggles, and the click of phones recording. Then the lights dimmed. On the massive screen behind Patricia flashed a video, grainy footage of Emily at a college party years ago, dancing with friends, laughing freely. The video had been edited maliciously, slowed down, and cut to look indecent. Emily froze, blood draining from her face. Patricia's voice sliced through the room. "So this is the woman who calls herself a Hayes. Tell us, Emily, was this before or after you decided to trap my son?" The crowd erupted in laughter. Emily turned desperately to Ethan, but he stood by his mother's side, jaw tight, eyes cold. "Ethan," she whispered, "you know that's not real." He didn't answer. Patricia stepped forward, smiling for the cameras that guests were now holding. "You may have fooled my son, but you can't fool class. Servants, remove that ridiculous dress. She doesn't deserve to wear white." The room gasped. Two maids hesitated, but under Patricia's glare they obeyed. They grabbed Emily's arms. Fabric tore. Laughter grew louder. Someone whispered, "She's just cheap trash pretending to be pure." "Stop!" Emily screamed. "Ethan, please!" He looked away. Her gown shredded at the seams. She yanked a tablecloth from the buffet and wrapped it around herself, trembling, humiliated, tears streaming down her cheeks. Cameras flashed like lightning. The world blurred. She ran, barefoot, heartbroken, through the rain outside the mansion, her sobs echoing down the long marble steps. By the time she reached home, her name was already trending online. "Fake heiress exposed," read one headline. The video had gone viral. She locked her door, collapsed to the floor, and finally broke. Dawn came. She picked up her phone with shaking hands and made a single call. "Dad," she whispered when he answered. A pause. Then came the deep, steady voice she hadn't heard in months. 3 days after Emily's call, the entire Hayes empire began to crumble, quietly at first, then all at once. Their investors withdrew overnight. The family's credit lines froze. Stocks that had been stable for decades plummeted by 40%. No one knew why, except the man behind it all. Henry Carter, the billionaire recluse, unseen for nearly 10 years, had returned to the world, calm, deliberate, and furious. At sunrise, 3 black SUVs stopped in front of the Hayes estate. Henry stepped out in a charcoal suit, his silver hair combed neatly, eyes sharp as steel. The entire street fell silent as reporters swarmed the gates. Patricia Hayes appeared on the porch, her face pale. "Mr. Carter, please, there's been a misunderstanding." Henry's voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of command. "You humiliated my daughter in front of the world," he said evenly. "Now the world will watch you answer for it." Patricia trembled. "We didn't know she was your daughter." "That's the point," Henry interrupted. "You should treat everyone with dignity, no matter who they are." He stepped past her, through the grand double doors, into the house that had once been a symbol of their power. Ethan stood there in his rumpled suit, eyes red from sleepless nights. "Mr. Carter," Ethan started, voice shaking. "I made a mistake." Henry stopped inches from him. "You made a choice." Ethan swallowed. "I loved her." "You don't humiliate what you love," Henry said, his gaze cutting deep. "You protect it." He turned toward his assistant, a tall woman holding a leather portfolio. "Proceed." Within seconds, screens across the Hayes living room flickered on. Financial charts, stock records, boardroom minutes, all revealing one truth. Henry Carter had secretly held the controlling shares of Hayes Enterprises for years, acquired quietly through shell companies. Patricia gasped, "That's impossible." Henry's lips curved into a cold, measured smile. "Nothing's impossible when you build what others inherit." He signed a single document. "Effective immediately," he announced. "The Hayes family is removed from all executive and board positions. All assets are transferred to the Carter Foundation for Women's Dignity." Patricia's knees buckled. Ethan's face went white. Reporters outside caught every word. Henry looked at them one last time. "From this day forward," he said, "your family's wealth will fund protection and justice for women like my daughter, women you tried to break." Then he turned and walked out. The next morning, every major network carried the story. Reclusive billionaire destroys family who publicly humiliated his daughter. Patricia vanished from public life. Ethan moved to another city, trying to rebuild a life from the ashes of his arrogance. But Emily, she rose stronger. Weeks later, she stood on the balcony of her countryside home, sunlight painting gold across the garden her father had filled with white lilies. Henry joined her, 2 cups of coffee in hand. "Dad," she said softly, "you didn't have to do all of that." He smiled faintly. "It wasn't revenge, sweetheart, it was restoration." She looked at him, eyes shining. "You taught them what power really means." Henry nodded. "Power means using your strength to heal what others tried to destroy." Emily smiled through quiet tears, turning toward the horizon. "I guess that's what Mom would have wanted." Henry's voice softened. "Exactly." And for the first time in months, Emily felt whole again. Not because her enemies fell, but because her father had reminded her what dignity, love, and true justice looked like.